broadband bill. Since its creation in 2014, the Border-to-Border Broadband Grant Program has been a very successful, widely supported, and growing in demand program. This has happened as the importance of broadband access for Minnesotans has increasingly been regarded as crucial. Across the state, Worthington to Warroad, small businesses, large businesses, families, medical facilities, schools, community institutions, and others have recognized the high-speed internet access is essential to be connected in the 21st century. Broadband can no longer be considered a luxury or a convenience. Rather, it's a part of our infrastructure. When the Broadband Grant Program was launched in 2014, DEED awarded $20 million in grants to 17 different projects across the state. DEED received applications for 40 projects totaling $44 million. In 2015, DEED received $11 million in funding. $29 million in applications were received for 44 projects. Only 15 projects received awards. In 2016, $35 million was appropriated for funding. $55 million came in applications from 62 different projects, and 42 projects were awarded grants. Altogether, in 3 years of the Border-to-Border Broadband Grant Program, DEED has awarded over $66 million in grants to more than 70 broadband projects across the state. And I had a couple different handouts in your packets. You should take a look at those. This has connected 26,000 households, over 3,000 businesses, and 244 community institutions. The Broadband Grant Program enjoys the full support of the Governor's Task Force on Broadband. In its latest annual report in December of 2016, the task force recommended $100 million for the grant program for the 2018 and 19 biennium. The task force is comprised of 15 members from the broadband industry and from various nonprofits and local units of government. So, my bill is requesting an appropriation of $100 million, which is in line with the broadband task force, and I would appreciate your support.
Do you have any invited testifiers?
I have several testifiers, but we'll keep it brief.
Okay. Well, okay, please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman Galafalo and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today on this bill. My name is Bill Coleman, and I'm an independent community broadband and economic development consultant working primarily in rural Minnesota. I'm here to testify support a 2-year appropriation of $100 million for this program. In each of the past 3 years, the fund has had application requests well in excess of the available funding. I believe that the opportunity to put broadband grant funds to good use for us, rural Minnesota will continue to grow for 3 reasons. First, the funded broadband projects that have been very successful in establishing best practices for public-private partnerships. I give credit to those involved, the cities, counties, and townships, providers of all types, and the Office of Broadband for working through the details of creating these successful partnership models. Others are able to easily copy those models. Second, the completion of the funded projects motivates neighboring areas to pursue and implement their own solutions. Local elected officials tell me that they are receiving regular calls from their constituents about the need for government to do something about the availability and quality of broadband services. Third, broadband initiatives are increasingly organized as multi-community, countywide, and multi-community efforts. For example, in southwestern Minnesota, there are 6 counties now working together on a broadband feasibility study to gather facts and determine alternatives for improving broadband across that big region. Similarly, in St. Louis County, from Mountain Iron west to Hibbing and north to Orr and Net Lake, community leaders are moving forward to determine their best options. The demand for Blandin Foundation's feasibility fund grant dollars has never been higher. Recently funded studies will soon commence in Sandstede, Hope, and Otter Tail counties. Additional applications are in process because of 2017-18 DEED funding availability. These project leaders are creating a pipeline of shovel-ready projects. Each of these projects has unique comment. A large, currently served rural county site will provide high-speed services to all their residents and businesses. Local leaders are seeking long-term, high-quality solutions that provide broadband access for all. Some may argue that the FCC CAP 2 funding is adequate for Minnesota. The lack of transparency on the part of funded providers about what they will build, where and when with CAP funds is a real problem for local officials. Network analysts who study CAP 2 networks that rely on last mile copper that maybe has to be old or older predict that they will deliver a service that barely exceeds today's minimum FCC standard at the high end, while leaving many others with broadband that falls short of the 2022 state goal with no probable technical path to the 2026 goals. Other residents will be permanently left behind without an affordable or appropriate connection, since CAP 2 does not require ubiquitous access. Border-to-border broadband grant funds carefully blended with CAP 2 funded networks to come to help assure that new networks will get built to at least the minimum state broadband standard. Minnesota communities have made good use of the border-to-border grant program. More aligning up to do so. I ask that you support this.
Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Nick Newman, Chairman Garofalo, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of this bill. My name is Janet Gito. I'm the supervisor for the town of North Star, which is about 25 miles north of Duluth in St. Louis County. I'm also the chair of the Cloquet Valley Internet Initiative, comprised of 7 rural townships in our area. Our initiative has been working since 2012 to bring broadband to our rural communities. I am here to testify in support of the 2-year appropriation of $100 million for the border-to-border broadband fund. This is since a lot of rural townships get internet via mostly wireless sources that are fairly slow and expensive. None of these sources meet the Minnesota goal of 25 megabits, and we know that none of them will be able to meet the goal of 100 megabits in 2026. We are located in the donut hole between the Lake County Fiber Project to the east, the Northeast Services Co-op to the west, and the urban systems in Duluth. Our township initiative has worked very hard to be shovel-ready for providers. We've received a Land and Feasibility Fund grant matched by AgStar and by St. Louis County, and hired consultants to help us understand the potential for providers and also the cost for broadband development. We've used the study results and repeatedly met with all of the potential providers, including Frontier, CenturyLink, Lake County, NESC, Co-op Light and Power, and Paul Bunyan. All have reasons why they can't provide better service, ranging from geography and topography to wireless technology limitations to funding availability. Our townships are in a landscape of hills and valleys, lakes and rivers, and evergreen forests, making wireless very difficult. My 6-mile by 6-mile township has 185 people and 83 residences. Proximity to Duluth means we have no freestanding businesses, clinics, and cities. I will say that CenturyLink has been very honest with us that CAP 2 requires them to take care of high-density areas first, and they may reach my township by 2020 or not at all. Our townships have the full span of demographic needs for broadband. Students and teachers who need broadband at home, especially if e-learning takes the place in snow days. And senior citizens, of course, need access to all manner of online services. We have professionals who want broadband at home, and our township volunteer fire departments all need broadband for modern training and communication. St. Louis County Association of Townships found that only a handful of town supervisors have adequate access to take the state-required online training for board equalization, and so many have not taken that training. In many ways, the low-hanging fruit are being taken care of. The higher density areas will look in private need broadband. I think we're now down to the more difficult challenge to bring broadband to low-density rural areas that just aren't close enough to a city or town, and low density means expensive construction. Rural electrification is expensive. Roads and bridges are expensive, and broadband, the information highway, is expensive. However, all of our citizens need access to high-speed internet for business, healthcare, education, and connectivity. Those needs are growing every single day. Our multi-township group has no hope of leveraging broadband without the potential of grant funding to leverage partnerships. So I ask that you support this bill border-to-border fund so that we can reach rural townships such as ours and make significant progress toward border-to-border broadband for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Presented, do you have any other invited testifiers for your call?
I think that's it.
Okay, Representative Baker, do you have invited testifiers for your call?
I do.
Good afternoon, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Frank Christensen. I'm the president and CEO of the Minnesota Telecom Alliance. We're a trade association that represents 45 independent broadband providers in rural Minnesota. I'm going to do a little different testimony than I think anybody else is going to do. I'm going to talk a little bit about what has happened with the program over the last 3 years and why we really need your support for the program overall. I'm not going to talk about dollars. That is for them to figure out. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the policy that's involved with it. Why is the broadband grant program important? Well, there's several reasons for this. One of them is it improves the business case for rural broadband. As the previous testifier testified, and you'll hear more stories about, there are just some places in the state where we can't afford to get broadband out and make that money back in monthly recurring charges. And you'll hear about CAP, and you'll hear about Alternative Connect America Fund money. And those monies are important, and they're bringing a lot to our state. But there's that little bit of nudge that needs to happen in order to get broadband to the last Minnesota. It also promotes meaningful collaboration. In the 3 years that the broadband grant program has been in place, there's been meaningful collaboration between local governments and private entities that have resulted in a lot of success stories. There are a lot of stories of local governments in the state that have tried to go it alone and have had disastrous results. But the broadband grant program, if nothing else, has shown us what works. One of the other points about the broadband grant program that I think is very significant and it gets understated is that one of the requirements in there is that anything that we put in the ground or in the air for this is scalable to 100 by 100, 100 megabits per second by 100 megabits per second. That means we're not throwing obsolete technology in the air or the ground, and anything that we do this program is going to be scalable going forward. It also requires matching money, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a minute. The other point is that the grants are regionally dispersed. In the 3 years that the grants have been happening, they've been all over the state of Minnesota, regionally dispersed to the point where every Minnesotan has had access to that ability. This is not about just the dollar amount. And ultimately, like I said, that is up to you. But one thing that we do need out of this is we need predictability. So we ask that when you do this, if you do this grant program, do this for the whole biennium so that we can plan, and if we don't apply for grants this year, our members can apply for grants next year. MTA member companies over the past 3 years have received a little over $52 million in grants, and that's out of a total of $65.5 million of grants awarded. That $65.5 million has also brought in $81.6 million in matching money from private and local providers. And of that, $69.4 million came from MTA members and the partners that they've had in their program. So I think that's showing you that this program works, that we're leveraging the dollars, that we're making the most out of the state funds that you put into this program. This is also not just about grants. This is also about funding the Office of Broadband Development. Even if the grant program still went away, the Office of Broadband Development is very important in breaking down silos and starting conversations between providers and local communities. And their work has to continue. But they absolutely have to be around if there's any money going to be in the grant program. The other part is that we haven't talked about is broadband mapping. And broadband mapping is critical. It was started a few years ago with federal dollars from NTIA, and that money stopped, and the state has been picking up the tab through that for mapping through this grant program. And that really has to continue because we can't figure out where we're going with the increases that we're making in broadband employment if we don't map it, if we don't measure it. So with that, Mr. Chairman, again, there's a lot of testifiers. I want to keep my comments brief, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Representative Baker. Any additional testifiers invited? This is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to testify in favor or voice concern with either of the bills? Come on down. Sir, you can come on down. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed to the
Mr. Chair, members, my name is Dan Larson, today representing Minnesota rural counties, 30 counties in greater Minnesota, a membership organization that we advocate for. Appreciate the members bringing this bill forward and the ability to talk to you about it today. Minnesota Rural Counties supports making affordable broadband available to unserved areas of priority and recognizes a critical need also exists in underserved areas of the state. We support adequate funding to address concerns in both unserved and underserved areas. I'm going to speak just briefly, members, about the funding levels. So we're starting to see a range of appropriation levels emerge, and with $100 million in 2018 being at the top, and 17.5 over a couple of years being at the bottom left. So there's a Goldilocks analogy here, members. If a pot of porridge is too hot and another is too cold, we think there's some place in the middle that we could hopefully end up. And over the course of a couple of years, maybe 2 to 5 years, a 30 to 35 million range would be nice, consistent numbers for the Office of Broadband to administer these grants that are so necessary in Greater Minnesota. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Additional testifier? Welcome to the state your name directly.
Thank you. My name is Mark Erickson. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I'm here on behalf of the League of Minnesota Cities. My name is Mark Erickson. I'm the EDA director in Winthrop and serve on the RS Fiber Cooperative Board of Directors. And I also serve as chair of the League of Minnesota Cities Telecommunications Task Force. We're talking about the need for public funding to grow more networks throughout the state, more broadband networks. I've been directly and indirectly involved in several broadband projects in the state during the past 15 years, and broadband technology represents a critical link for rural Minnesota. There have been a host of technological advances in the past 150 years, from railroads to electricity, to radio and TVs and computers, medicine, transportation. The pace of change has been constant and unrelenting. The most transformative change, though, last century was the advent of electricity. Nikola Tesla perfected alternating current in the late 1800s. He unwittingly changed the world forever. The same was true nearly 100 years later when Vince Cerf and his cohorts invented the Internet Protocol and began sending messages over fiber optic lines. But it was the growth of the electrical distribution network to rural communities and farms that provided fuel for innovation and growth. The electrification of rural America was a seminal moment in the history of this country because it provided equal access to important technologies. Today we are challenged to find a way to grow future-proof networks with the same potential to lift rural communities from their second-class technology status to full partners. Broadband networks have the potential to enhance education, healthcare, transportation, public safety, manufacturing, job growth, and the quality of life for seniors by allowing them to live dependently longer. In fact, the RS Fiber Network is the most important economic development and quality of life tool we have at our disposal today in Renville and Sibley County. The 10 communities and 17 townships in the RS Fiber Cooperative Project could not have realized their goal without the $1 million grant they received from the first round of the State Broadband Grant Program in 2014. Thank you for that. The state of Minnesota leads the nation in many respects through its active involvement and financial support for next generation networks. I have attended scores of broadband conferences across the nation during the last 50 years, with hundreds of people. And honestly tell you today that all those people are envious of what we are doing here in the state. Get the job done. The office needs to be fully funded. The Broadband Grant Program has provided about $65 million to the cause since it was created. We all appreciate the financial support provided by you, our elected representatives, but we need to do more. We need to fund the fund in an amount that will meet the current demand being shown by rural communities, counties, and providers. I support the $100 million figure put forth by the Governor's Broadband Task Force and this bill. Thank you. Broadband networks are the critical electrical networks of this
second, I want to kind of thank the policy change that I hope is not controversial. It's one that's found in Senator Westrum's broadband bill, it's SF980, and it addresses the possibility that some providers can't make that business case to go to certain places with a 50-50 match. The solution could be to allow for the possibility that they could do 25% and get up to 75 program. It wouldn't have to be 75. It allows them to make that pitch to the office, and likely the less they're asking for, the more meritorious it is. I'd like to see something like that in either of these. That would also help some of those areas of red. I also have with me our executive director, Peterson, who's also a township president, to give some perspective on what it's like to live without broadband.
Welcome to me, sir. Please state your name and receive your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, committee. Gary Peterson, Executive Director of Minnesota Association of Townships, and I live in Elmira Township, which is in southern Minnesota in Sandstede County. First of all, I'd like to thank the authors of the bills for bringing those forward. It's very important to us. The group of people that I represent, or that the Township Association represents, almost many people in Minnesota, and this is the group that it affects the most. And I'm very passionate about this, and I'm sure you'll find out that in time. My group is out there suffering, the small businesses, the school kids, and I can go right on down the list. For medical services online, and a whole lot of issues that we do not have the same access to that our counterparts in the cities have. And it's really the haves and the have-nots. And that's how it's down to that. And I want to give a couple examples that's happened to me, and a couple that I've heard from different township officers that have called me. We have one township officer that just moved to the Thief River Falls area, had a home-based business before they moved up there, and they no longer can operate that home-based business because the internet is not provide them enough service. And when you hear stories like that, it's the vitality of the rural part of Minnesota that's at stake here. Myself, and it was interesting in January, tell you a little story about what happened in my home. I'm kind of the age of the Billy Joel, right? He's coming for a concert in the Twin Cities this summer. So I'm home and going to order tickets to that concert. And the internet that I have at my home, I just upgraded because I had a hotspot for a number of years, and that was, needless to say, nowhere near what I needed. I've gone to a satellite dish now. They've said the maximum is 15 up and down, and I don't think I'm getting near that. And the day that I went to order those tickets, I said, sure, why not? And literally, it was less than 2 seconds. She says, where do you want to sit? She ordered the tickets, purchased the tickets for me, and my computer's still going like this. I can tell you a lot of stories like that. And I'm only 20 miles from an urban center of Rochester. We don't have what we need. And again, please feel that you can put as much or as many dollars for broadband and build up this infrastructure in our rural Minnesota. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to testify in favor or voice concerns of the bill? Both public comment portion, we'll get member questions and comments. Is there someone from the Office of Broadband Development here? Just a quick question about the handout. We wrote a handout that shows underserved areas as if someone has a 25 meg download and 3 meg
directly tied to the grant program per se.
Correct.
Does that answer your question?
No, my question was just that, again, the statewide goal is 25 meg down, 3 meg up, and it's categorized in this diagram as underserved. And I'm wondering why internet access that would currently meet the state goal for 2022 could be categorized in a handout as underserved.
That's the line that you're referring to is actually the lavender category, which is showing areas of the state that meet the 25 by 3 but do not meet the 2026 goal of 100 by 20.
Correct. That's what I'm asking.
And so it's referring to the definition, that is the definition of underserved as it currently is outlined in statute, is above 25 by 3 and below 100 by 20. And I apologize if I'm still not understanding your question.
Sometimes we ask questions we know the answers to, but just for members of the committee to look at this. When they see those items in purple, they meet the statewide goal for 2022. They do not meet the goal for 2026.
That's absolutely correct.
So Representative Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I have a question for Mr. Christensen, but I think he's left. Is he still around?
Oh, he's still there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I thought he disappeared back around the corner. Thank you for staying here. You know, the projects that I've seen approved and done with the border program are for a certain area, like around a lake or a specified area. And a lot of our counties are trying to work the county as a whole, to look at the whole county and do it, I assume, in one project. Is that feasible, and could you work with counties to do a project on that large a scale?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Anderson, absolutely. I think what we found is there's some really large projects that have happened over the past 3 years. Countywide projects. Big Stone County did a partnership with one of our members. Swift County on one. Then you see smaller projects where Otter Tail County, they got money to go around the lake or to get areas where you just couldn't afford to build it any other way. So we've seen there's a cap. One thing I didn't mention in my testimony is there's a cap on the grants. There's a maximum of $5 million that can be used for any one project. We've had some that have touched the cap, but the vast majority have been little ones to do projects like you were talking about.
Representative Lehman.
Mr. Chair, and Mr. Christensen, I just have to commend you on your testimony. It's excellent. I mean, it's right on, very succinct, recounting how the program has worked. I just have a question and a comment. Oftentimes we hear, and we're talking about rural and townships and so on. Oftentimes we hear, well, why should we spend so much money on putting fiber in the ground when wireless technology is advancing and will be the answer in the future?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Lehman, thank you. I thought I was talking too fast. I was going to worry about it in the testimony. So thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I like to tell people that MTA members with the wireless, a lot of times in particular cell service, the only thing that's wireless in cell service is from the tower to the handset. Our members are bearing fiber to towers all the time, working on an RFP right now, statewide RFP for AT&T. So that's happening. I will also tell you, I come from the family has a small telephone company, and we're doing fiber to the ground, but we're also doing fixed wireless because there are some areas that are just too expensive to get fiber to. So
You say brand, just make sure you're using, I know what it means, Mr. Members of the committee, you say fiber to brand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fiber to the premise. So you take fiber all the way to the customer premise. There are different types of fiber. You can do fiber to the node, or you take it to a splitter, and then you reuse some copper plant. Then you can use fixed wireless after that. So there are different ways to do it. And that's the important part about using existing providers to do this, because we've got the experience and we know how to dial that in and what is the right fit. And I will tell you from my own company's experience, we're building out fixed wireless in hopes of one day that we get enough density that we can build fiber to those customers. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Christensen and others. I can just a closing comment. I'm an advocate of broadband investments. I've been in economic development for about 25 years, and I think that broadband is one of the key investments we can make in economic development. for a clean economy, or a diverse economy, what we have found is that today most people can do their work just about anywhere if they have connections.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Lehman, I actually run the MTA from Fielded Township in Whatcom County, and I have a broadband connection from Christensen Communications that allows me to do that. So we also do economic development in our community, and the days of chasing 200 jobs, factories in small towns of 2,300 are over. We have to focus on getting 1 or 2 telecommuting jobs every day, all the time.
Thank you. I'll just wind up with, I love the testimony about the porridge, the just right, and I hope that we can get there.
Representative Maloney, and then Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and if Ms. McKenzie could come back to the table. But first, I actually really want to commend all of the broadband advocates, because you have not come to my office saying how much you need, $100 million and $100 million, and forced me to have a conversation like I did last week. So I want to appreciate all of the fact that you haven't come in and lied to me. So, Ms. McKenzie, could you tell me what would it take for us to be done with this? How much money does the broadband office need to get statewide, along with all the other federal monies and the private dollars? What's our final dollar figure?
I have an answer for what it takes to be done with this, but it might be different for the testifier. The testifier.
That's why I didn't ask you.
Yeah. The testifier.
Mr. Chair, Representative, the number that the governor recognized based on our assessment using the data that we have gathered over the first 3 rounds of funding and looking at the state's 2022 goal, that level of investment for 5 years between now and that goal would allow the state to achieve its goal. And that estimate did take into consideration the CAF 2 funding and the ACAM funding that is coming into the state to the providers. So that is where that estimate came from, and that would be the number that we believe would be appropriate to achieve the state's goal within the time frame set.
Representative Maloney.
So is that 5 years at $50 million a year, or is that 5 years at $100 million a year?
Mr. Chair, Representative, the number that was calculated as the estimated information we have is $30 million a year for 5 years.
$30 million a year? Thank you, Mr. $30 million a year for 5 years?
Mr. Chair, Representative, yes.
And Mr. Chair? So if you got $150 million, could you get this done sooner than 5 years? Is there capacity in our state and the need to get it all done and paid up?
Mr. Chair, Representatives, I think we can look nationwide to models where they have made attempts to do that. New York is a good example of where they are taking this challenge in one large bite. The state development plan has been based on more of an incremental investment plan. It takes into account technology evolution over time and is making smaller incremental investments. So the system we have in place is currently probably better suited to smaller incremental investments.
Not with this chair. I'm gonna, can I say that out? Sorry.
Representative Howe.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
done, Mr.
Representative
Chair.
Maloney, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, Mr. Chair, I mean, here's, and this is a comment to you. We have a $1.6 billion surplus at the present time. We actually need to get this done, because not only is it an economic engine for greater Minnesota, and we have heard testimony after testimony and person after person come in and say we are bleeding people out of our small towns in greater Minnesota. This is one of the key elements that will keep people in greater Minnesota and help them maintain the lifestyle that they would like to maintain. Kind of like having more choices. You have resisted this time and time again. Your caucus has never been overly supportive of this. There's been a huge fight every time. $1.6 billion surplus. I have a Ways and Means chair in front of me. 1.6 billion. If I might ask the Ways and Means chair, I'll ask the fiscal staff here. Mr. Chair, if I might ask the fiscal staff.
You might ask.
I would like to ask the fiscal staff, do we have a $1.6 billion forecast surplus?
I'll take the time representative Mahoney, I believe it's 1.65 billion, is that correct, Chairman Nottbaugh?
It is.
1.65 billion.
So, Mr. Chair, and to the two bill authors and the testifiers, we actually need to move this forward and actually get it done. I know you, Mr. Chair, have always spoken to the idea of wireless or satellite. And every person I've talked to in this industry says that is only the last 100 yards or last half mile. They need to make cable, and they can't make cable for nothing. And Mr. Chair, the difference between what happened when we electrified Greater Minnesota and the United States as a whole versus what it was before was huge. This is the electrification of Greater Minnesota in today's technology. And if we don't do it while we have surplus, we will not do it again. And Greater Minnesota will suffer for this. Now I'm done.
Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess my question is perplexed as someone that probably lives within 5-6 miles of the same city limits of St. Cloud, and yet I don't have broadband. I get my internet off a silo a mile and a quarter away, and when everybody jumps on it, I'm down to less than 2 meg, and I'm paying $70 a month. So, and what I've found in asking my district is I've got little spots, just like I am. I'm a spot of 3 houses that can't get internet. 3 houses down past that, they get DSL. You go across the highway, they get cable. But our little spot, and what we find is we're painted that we've got internet when you look at the maps. But what I've found is this survey in my district is that I've got little spots like that, 3 houses here, half dozen houses there, 5 houses over here. How does that get fixed? How do you plug all of us in? Because you look at the big maps, they paint with a wide brush, you're all covered. But who's picking up these little spots because it's not cost effective to do it? So how does that get done?
Mr. Chair, members, that gets done by continuing to look at the current infrastructure, which includes copper. It includes running new fiber, which we are trying to do with office broadband. It may include new technology. It might be a lot of different things. Right now, you are in one of those spots that this isn't easy to fix. And so, Representative Howe, I really understand and know you're thinking of that. But the way to get it done is to continue to work through the CAF $2 and what they are doing with the incumbents. It's continuing to find ways with the office of broadband. And again, I will tell you that there is some amazing technology that is still up and coming. So I don't know the exact number or the plan. I'm not one of those smart people that can answer that for you, how you want to hear it. But it's one of all of those, I think.
Thank you. Well, it isn't all about me. But it's all about my constituents. Because I've got folks out there that want to work from home and do the high-speed internet thing and do those types of businesses and do it.
Nice save. Representative McGinnis.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. To the authors or anybody up there, one of the things we know in state demographer is that upstate Minnesota is losing its younger generation. Has anybody tried to look at is the lack of being up to date? Part of the problem? I mean, is that one of the questions
we have looked at that. We have a group called Recharge the Range, and it's a group of millennials and others, and we are talking in depth about economic diversification. There is a great desire for young people, millennials, to return to the range, but it's a lack of jobs. And many of these people are interested in e-commerce type of jobs, online economies. And if that technology were in place, they would come back. They have spoken to that. But this is the infrastructure that we so desperately need, and it's missing. It's really impeding those people from returning.
Representative McGinnis.
It's good anecdotal, and I actually believe you, but I'm wondering if anybody has done a more in-depth study, say, like, is this a piece, right, a big piece of the puzzle now that our state is losing this younger generation?
Mr. Chair, Representative, there has not been a formal study at this stage of the game. I can add to the anecdotal information that our office works with economic and community developers across the state, and the sentiments that were reflected on the range we have heard from all corners of the state. Most of those groups consider this infrastructure issue one of their top 5 issues in retaining and attracting the next generation. At this stage of the game, that certainly would be a valuable piece of data point for us to have as far as the actual migratory
Representative Tisa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, we made some policy changes to the broadband program last year. Can you just talk about whether that's
codified into law, a voice in the process as far as whether or not an applicant is truly eligible for the program as it was developed. And I believe that is the largest piece of the policy language that is being discussion. And while it presented some challenges to the team evaluating these applications, at the end of the day, all feedback we have received is positive in nature as far as how we were able to navigate with the systems, and that and at this time the office is not proposing any language changes in that regard.
Representative Tisa.
thank you. Did any projects not get funded that would have otherwise been funded?
Is that fair?
Mr. Chair, Representative, yes, there were 44 challenges received against the 62 applications. A total of 28 applications were challenged by 30 different providers. And of those 6 applications that would have otherwise been viable projects did not proceed because there was a valid challenge against them. I would also add that's not the whole number. In a number of challenge cases, the challengers provided us a set of addresses or a neighborhood where they were already serving or constructing service, so we were able to work with applicants to remove those areas from an application and let the remainder proceed.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions or comments from the committee, the chair has a couple comments and questions. So if there's a couple of the testifiers, I don't care which ones, can just come back down as a quick question. I'll ask the same question, maybe Mr. Christensen, someone from the townships. And it'll just be the same question. Right now, the definition of underserved is 25 meg download, 3 meg upload. Let's just say that this chair say this gavel turns wave this magic wand over the state, and suddenly 25.3 was available anywhere in the state of Minnesota just through some miracle of technology. Would that necessitate a fundamental redesign of the broadband infrastructure program or not?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe it would, just because the rules, the requirement that anything is flexible and scalable up to 100 by 100. So, broadband speeds are increasing exponentially. If you think about the first internet connection in Minnesota in 1994 was 56K from Chicago to the U, and now we're talking about gigabits. So it's the need for speed is there, and it's growing, but it's a lot of times it's growing by itself. So we're talking 25.3 today. 2 years ago we were talking about 10 and 3, 10 and 5. So that speed number is going to go up. As long as we get a connection to everybody, then we're good.
Do you need me to repeat the question for the other testifiers or not? Come on. So again, if I turn this gavel into a magic wand and the chair waved it
No.
Sorry.
I think the long-term goal is the 2026 goal. So as long as we're making strides towards that, that's, I suppose, right on the end goal.
The other two testifiers.
Just follow up with Mr. Fenske's comment. I think that to get to 25.3 is a relatively easy task, and that's a fiber and copper-based combined solution. To get to the 100 megabits, 100 by 20 or 100 by 100, that's a more of a fiber, 100% fiber solution at this point. And so I think if we went and said, let's go to 25.3 solution, that, I mean, so it's a short 25.3, I think is a solution. I know that in rural communities, if they have nothing now and they have 25.3 tomorrow, that would be a huge improvement. And then, but then shortly after, and especially the people who want to live and work in rural Minnesota have higher needs for broadband than the people who just want to surf the internet to send email. And so we've been working on, in northeastern Minnesota, Delta Airlines.
If 25.3 was available, certainly a lot of the instances we heard today, that would address the concerns that were brought forward. That doesn't take
Frontier funds taking kind of a scattered half two approach and turning that countywide to 25.3 everywhere. So that was funded by the office.
I understand. What I'm saying is, if 25.3, just everyone's got it now. Anyone get 25 down tomorrow, would the program need to be redesigned?
Oh, to go higher than?
No, I mean, like right now you can't make the statement that everyone in Minnesota has access to 25.3. Like it's not, the technology doesn't exist, the infrastructure isn't in place. But the moment that takes place, let's just say it happens next month, where all of a sudden everybody in Minnesota has access to 25.3, doesn't that necessitate a redesign of the state program?
I think the program is designed to try and accommodate that 100 by 20 goal.
Thank you. And I think, same question for you, Representative. 25.3 is available to everyone. Does it require the program to be redesigned?
Program when we see we've had last 3 sessions, starting out with 20 and 14, 5 last session, and now I'm proposing 35. I think it's very good incremental. Why I came about the technology office is that we're part of the answer, and that we can't ever change that. I think the broadband is the backbone. The fiber is the backbone. It doesn't have to, in my opinion, have to be every single home, because I do think wireless and others are going to really step up with amazing technologies. So, but I think, and as I've shared this with Ms. McKenzie as well, the office needs to be not planning on a real long life, because I think we're going to have this solved. And I don't think the state's business is to continue to improve it as it goes down the road in the next 10 years. That's where private industry takes care of this, in my opinion. But we've got to make sure that we get the right speed out there now, and that's why I strongly support the office today, as it is today. And I think that the policy we used last year with the grants was exceptional. We brought incumbents to the table. It was a strong 54% private match to a 45% state dollar match. I think it works well. This is still an office of 4 in the Office of Broadband. This is not something that has exploded. I think that they've done a nice job being efficient with this. So I do think that today this is the best option we have to, again, work alongside the CAF 2 projects. Just yesterday, north of my house, about a mile, about 400 homes and businesses total got turned on from CenturyLink with a CAF 2 funding. Didn't require a single dollar from the state of Minnesota, but $85 million per year is coming into Minnesota right now from the federal grant, the CAF 2 dollars. That's not insignificant. That's big. So I'm really happy that 400 people got turned on yesterday, I got a phone call and they're very happy with their new service, so.
Representative, did you wish to add anything?
How can you top that? No.
Well, I can top it by telling you why you're wrong.
Well,
As a-
don't.
as a side-
Don't start.
Don't give them that.
Alright, so, with that, first of all, Representative Mahoney, moves that House File 841 be considered for possible inclusion in